It's all right, all right. Here we go. It is your Tuesday, August the 26th. I am meteorologist Ben Peine here in the Extol Media Studios. Thanks for joining me on my page here, meteorologist Ben Peine, P-E-I-N-E, Extol Weather on Facebook, Extol Media on YouTube, extolmag.com/weather online. What a nice, refreshing start to the day. I saw actually a lot of areas outside of towns in the 40s this morning. Got some reports of that. Had a comment in my today forecast post on Facebook of some 40s up in Paoli this morning. So a lot of the towns in the 50s, some of the cooler spots in the countryside dropping down to the 40s this morning. So one of the coolest mornings we've had, or probably the coolest morning we've had so far this summer. And I think it might get a degree or two cooler for tomorrow morning as well. So this has been at 10. This is your Southern Indiana and Beyond weather show right here out of Extol Media Studios in Uptown New Albany. So there you can see the beautiful start that we have all across the area for today. And as we bring up the radar and satellite, you can see it is really, really quiet. The closest rain down along an old front moving through Oklahoma, Arkansas, and into Mississippi. So like we said last week, you're probably going to hear the word quiet quite a bit here as we are falling into this fall weather pattern here for a little while, which is very, very enjoyable for us. So waiting for some folks to get on board here. Thanks if you're watching that replay. You might be watching the very first part of the show. We've actually got a lot to talk about. I got weather history. I've got some really bad jokes. I've got obviously your detailed forecast. We'll get to your forecast right off the bat here. And then we will deep dive into the weather model data. We'll do the Ben on a Limb segment, which, since I mentioned it, we'll look out maybe a couple of weeks and see what the weather pattern might do. And actually, a couple of weeks ago, the Ben on a Limb segment, we were talking about this awesome autumn weather that we have here now. So, hey, sometimes it pans out as we look way down the road. All right, bringing up the weather headlines here for today. For your August the 26th, happy birthday to my brother Adam Peine, by the way. He's 51, a little older than me. He's getting up there. Cool nights in the 50s, perfect afternoons in the 70s. And a dry weather pattern. And my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, Meredith Peine, often will watch the show. So make sure you give Adam a happy birthday. All right, here's a look at that play ball forecast for today. 73 degrees at noon, 77 this afternoon. Basically a 0% chance of rain for a long time. There's maybe a kind of a reinforcing front that moves through late Thursday, early Friday, but there's just not much moisture to work with. Northwest wind at 5 to 10. Sometimes we can mix down some breezier conditions a little bit higher in the atmosphere, kind of comes down to the surface when we get some afternoon thermals. So that's when you get maybe like a little breeze that might gust around 20, but not a big deal. And a look at those low temperatures here this morning. This is from the Indiana Mesonet. So this is based out of Purdue, and they put research grade weather observation stations. We need more of these in our area, as you can see, but there's one in Crawford County at one of the schools there. That dropped to 47 degrees this morning. So a mix of some upper 40s and lower 50s. And the Kentucky Mesonet, obviously they've got a lot better distribution of those weather observation stations. So Hoosier State needs to get going and get more of these weather stations in our state. But look at that. Most of Kentucky with the Mesonet dropping down to the mid and upper 40s this morning. So what a nice, cool, refreshing start to the day. I can also bring up our website here, extolmag.com/weather, and that also looks at the current conditions. And I will get to your comments as they begin to roll in as well this morning. So as usual, we've got Beverly Haggis, a good morning from Borden, Indiana, had 50 out the door this morning. My son even wore the hoodie off to school. That's how cool it was this morning. Orlean Whitlow, good morning. Lovely, lovely day. Thank you from Hodgenville. Thanks for watching down there in wonderful LaRue County. There is that breakfast biscuit place in Hodgenville. What is that called? I know I've asked that before, and you may have answered it, but I was at, I think, one of the Rotary meetings down there in Hodgenville for the breakfast, which was awesome. All right, we are moving right along here, and it's going to bring up, again, our website, which means I need to drop that and add this directing traffic. Okay, there's me on top of me. As we don't want to break the universe and hit play, because then I'd be playing this live stream live on the website. But there you can see, you can slap on that red box right there and subscribe and like our YouTube channel there at Extol Media, EXTOL, and you'll get weather videos like this in the morning and more content throughout the day as well. There's your 7-day forecast that I posted this morning. Interactive radar, which we are not going to need very much of anytime soon, but you can see the current conditions. That says 62 degrees right now, a wind at 3 miles per hour from the northwest. That northwest flow continues. You got weather stories there. You've got the day 1 and day 2 severe weather outlooks, which there's 0. You don't see that very often across the entire continental United States, coast to coast and border to border. There is not much happening, not many alerts. There's some heat alerts up in the Pacific Northwest. That's where the summer weather has gone. The U.S. Drought Monitor gets updated every Thursday, so we'll check that as our weather pattern gets drier and drier. And then I wanted to bring up, again, here is the larger interactive radar, which I'm seeing some upper 50s and 60s across the area. Scottsburg at 57, Paoli 57, Elizabethtown 67. So what a fantastic start. It's also got your wind directions, if you ever want to pop those on. Which it's a very light breeze, like 2 to 4 miles per hour here this morning. So very, very peaceful. Okay, there we go. Orlean in with the assist here. Paula's Biscuits. That's an awesome diner there. If you guys want to make a little road trip, head on down to Hodgenville to Paula's Biscuits. And Mary Dale, I made it from New Albany. Thank you, Ben. Have a good day. Awesome. Patricia Spriggs, good chilly morning. Love this weather. And Beverly, my son lives in Olympia, Washington. It's been in the 90s out there. So yeah, if you're wondering where summer has gone, it has retreated off to the northwest. By the way, cheers to you, to the second big cup of coffee. We had the windows open last night, so we got to hear the cicadas and stuff. Almost like you're kind of camping when you're in the bedroom with the windows wide open. And then at like 4 o'clock in the morning, it got a little bit cool. So I had to go ahead and shut the windows. And if the ragweed doesn't bother you, then go ahead and get after that. All right. Here is a live look outside with the Falls of the Ohio Foundation.org camera, clear as it can be across the area and very low humidity. We may have it like, if you noticed yesterday afternoon, when we start to warm up a little bit, we'll get a few of those fair weather cumulus clouds. That's about it. Lillian Lasley popping in from Litchfield here with a good morning, and 64 at your house right now. And I think it was like an hour or two ago, Lillian commented at 51 degrees. So just a terrific Tuesday, a gorgeous start to our day across the area. All right. I want to give a few shout outs here, and then we'll get digging deep into that forecast. If you have any roofing questions, if you have any roof damage in the future, contact Lyons Roofing, LYNOS roofingco.com, protecting your most valuable asset for a lifetime. You can see the free estimates right there. And they've got you covered on both sides of the river. 812-294-3595. They've helped my family, and so has Michael Long. I was just chatting with him because I had a question. I think we're going to maybe do a little segment called like Golf and Talk or something like that, or Birdies and Bogeys with Ben. You help me out with the title here, but want to do some talks every once in a while with our partners here. But my daughter in IU, so I heard there is a child away discount. So she's not driving her car at IU. So maybe there's a discount in there. So I texted him this morning, and he's already checking that out. So that's the service you're going to get with Michael Long. Tell him I sent you to get that quote at 812-578-3072, amfam.com to search Michael Long, and he'll get you covered. They're proud to be an American Star Certified Agency, excellence in customer service, and just want to shout out the opportunities that are available here in Southern Indiana. Libs Paving, the top asphalt contractor around. So easy to do. Upper right-hand corner, boom, there you go. And you just click down. It's going to tell you all of the benefits and what they offer as a company, and then you go down and you can check out all their employment opportunities. which every line right there is a job opening. They've obviously got a lot of work right now, and the weather is phenomenal for these construction companies. It is construction season. You're probably seeing it as you drive around. There is a lot of construction going on now that the weather is cooperating. Level up your career. It's the fall sessions that began yesterday at Ivy Tech. So today's Tuesday. They've got a little program. If you go to the Sellersburg campus here at ivytech.edu, Tuesdays at the Tech, where you can get one-on-one information, in-person assistance, getting started at Ivy Tech, registering for classes, career development, paying for college, all that good stuff. Looking forward to getting back live out on their campus with this nice weather on the way. The last one was a little bit muggy, but if your student is in high school, think about Prosser, or just think about the dual credit classes that your high school has to offer. It's going to save your child or you, if you're helping to pay for college, thousands and thousands of dollars. And tomorrow is Wednesdays with Weddington. If you have a question about custom home building, anything around the house, drop it in the comments for Mr. Brad Weddington. Always fun to talk to him on our every other Wednesdays with Weddington. All right, we're about to dig into that forecast. And a reminder, too, that if you ever want a answer to a weather question, or if you want to partner up with advertising or marketing, you can contact me, Ben at extolmag.com, Jason at extolmag.com as well. So here we go. There you go. Happy birthday to my brother, Adam. Thank you very much there, Beverly. All right, so cool nights in the 50s, perfect afternoons in the 70s, dry weather pattern. It is 10:11. We are digging into your forecast here. 77 this afternoon, basically the same as yesterday, probably a little bit lighter breeze. At times it was a bit gusty out there, so that's good for my son's tennis match. I think we're heading up to Salem, Indiana today. And again, I was showing you a little bit earlier, if you're just popping on, we had a lot of spots in the 40s this morning. This was the Indiana mesonet temperatures. This is the Kentucky mesonet. So the mesonet means a kind of a medium range network of observation stations. So within a state. So Kentucky has their mesonet, and then Indiana is trying to build their mesonet. And I'm with you, Tina. Can we keep this forecast? And actually, what's surprising about this forecast is that this is not a short little tease of fall. This is kind of early fall for the next week or so. Maybe we start to, I was looking at some of the long range data, which we'll get into with Ben on a limb here in a second, that maybe around September 5th, or maybe around the 9th of September, maybe that second week of September, we start to look more summer-like. But it looks like this humidity stays pretty low for a while, with just a little bit warmer temperatures as we head into our Labor Day weekend, but not that much warmer. Hey, and the bird nerd segment's kind of back here because we have the fall migration beginning. There were, I think, around 90 million estimated birds flying from the north to the south. It's not quite as concentrated as the spring migration season because the birds kind of travel south at different times, depending on their food source. They notice the daylight getting shorter, the cooler air. They noticed that as well. Hey, we had some of this steam fog coming off the ponds this morning. If you saw that, Robert Fisher sharing this picture to our Indiana Skies Facebook group from Hanover, Indiana. So you've got the warm water from the summertime. Then you got this cool fall-like air on top of it. The moisture is evaporating off the surface of the pond into that cooler air, so it condenses very quickly and creates some of that fog right there. So a little bit of steam fog off the ponds this morning. All right, now these jokes are so bad. Now, I've been doing stupid summer jokes here lately. Now I'm gonna since the air is feeling like autumn, we're gonna switch into stupid autumn jokes. And they're so bad, I've added a bonus one in here. Usually I do 3. I've added a 4th because of how bad these are. And I don't want my face to be on camera when I read these. That's how embarrassing this segment is to me. But yeah, a lot of people like these corny dad jokes. But here we go. How did the tree get a new job? It had the right qualifications. All right, I got to pause how bad that was. All right. I've heard the koala bear joke before, the right qualifications. What is the best book to read in autumn? Lord of the Rings. that one's worse. Lord of the Rings. Oh, man. I'm crying how bad these are. Why did the turkey cross the road? Because it was the chicken's day off. Okay. We've had a lot of turkeys running around our road. We've got a family of turkeys that are always around. Why was the robot couple's anniversary in the fall? They were autumn mated. That's not bad. They were autumn mated. That's kind of a little risque, depending how you how you read that one. All right, here is today's weather history. This goes back to the year 1635. The Great Colonial Hurricane crossed the eastern tip of Long Island and moved through Providence and Boston. Winds may have reached 130 miles per hour. May have, because I don't think they had wind observations, detailed wind observations back then. And several ships were sunk. 1635. 1908, South Carolina's greatest flood ever caused flooding statewide. Every river in the state rose above flood stage, many as high as 22 feet above flood stage. 1976, this is a weird one. I didn't think it was very interesting until I read the whole thing. A weak tornado touched down briefly in Hockley Hills near Kiana, Alaska, about 20 miles north of the Arctic Circle. You don't hear about a tornado that north very often. And then 1992, many of you probably remember this. I feel like this was the first widespread news coverage of a big hurricane. At least that I remember. Hurricane Andrew made second landfall near Burns Point, Louisiana, as a Category 3 hurricane. Morgan City, Louisiana, recorded a sustained winds of 92 miles per hour and a peak gust of 108. And Louisville National Weather Service has a great weather history page, as does Indianapolis, too. So how many days until? We've been doing this countdown every day here. Before 8 p.m. sunset's 8 days away. Autumn begins in 27 days. Our average highs in the 70s in 29 days. Average highs in the 60s around October 19th in 54 days. On the allergy report, it is at high levels over the next several days. And actually, let's just keep that rolling unless we get a rain day. The pollen level is going to stay pretty high all the way through October. And the forecast here for today, for your August 26th, the summary, 77 degrees. Just a terrific Tuesday out there, mostly sunny, northwest wind around 5 to 15. As Tina mentioned earlier, can we keep this forecast? And we kind of can. We've got no significant changes to the air mass, which we'll be digging into the weather model data here very, very shortly for you. Sunset at 8:21, northwest wind around 5 to 15. Tonight's forecast, 54, nice and cool. I think we might see some 40s outside of the towns in the cities and just a light breeze out there, mostly clear. And our sunrise at 7:08. Our forecast here for tomorrow, pretty much all sunshine for your August 27th, 50s and 40s. If you're out early around sunrise, 72 at noon and 78 for that afternoon high. Our normal high is 88, normal low 68, our sun up at 7:08, and our sunset at 8:19. The 7-day forecast rolls on with mainly dry conditions. It looks like there's kind of a reinforcing front that'll move through late Thursday, Friday timeframe, but I think we're kind of moisture starved, so I don't think we'll get precip out of that. It looks like that's a better chance of any shower would be to our northeast. So right now, keeping it dry, upper 70s, lower 80s, stretching through this upcoming weekend. So whatever festivals are going on, whatever you have to do outside this Labor Day weekend, it looks like it's going to be fantastic. We'll be loving this nice stretch of weather. Yeah, getting a little bit too dry, perhaps, as we could be heading towards drought status in many locations around the Ohio Valley, throughout Kentucky and Indiana. Happens. I mean, if a drought happens, it's going to be this time of the year as we head into September and October, the driest months typically. That's why September is a pretty good month to get married because of the dry trend. Which that reminds me, my anniversary, September 6th, is coming up here pretty soon. So it is that time. And Mary Dale saying, this is really like fall weather. It is. It is like October out there. It is awesome. All right, let me remove that, bring up this, and we are going to switch into the weather graphics. All right, so here's the big view across the United States. And again, really quiet. The only rain that we see is down over Oklahoma, Arkansas, and into Mississippi. As we expand out our view even more, if you're interested in tropical weather, not a whole lot going on. There is a tropical storm out there, Fernand, out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, moving away. And then out here in the Pacific, they've got Juliet. So that's a tropical storm too. So far, the tropical season kind of behaving here. Not many impacts on the continental United States. Mid-September is the peak, and so we can certainly get tropical systems into October. So the season's certainly not over with just yet. So what should we do here first? Again, this is your weather show for Southern Indiana and beyond. If you want to see a weather map, let me know. I'm bringing up the ones that I think are interesting, but again, you might find something else interesting. But I'm going to bring up, we'll go CPC, Climate Prediction Center, and then we'll look at the rain, and then we'll look at see when we might see an air mass change, meaning we've got a dry air mass now. When would a summer humid air mass return to the area? So that was what we'll look at in the long range outlook here in just a second. So the Climate Prediction Center is a division of the National Weather Service. So they're looking out long range. This is the 6 to 10 day outlook. So this shows the potential for below normal temperatures through much of next week as well. So this is not just a short-lived stint of fall weather. This is kind of a prolonged fall tease here for us, or false fall, as some people call it. And this is the longer range, 8 to 14 day outlook into September. And it also shows an above normal chance of below normal temperatures. So there's a kind of a sneak peek at what we will be talking about in the long range outlook here for us. So if you like the low humidity, I think that is going to be around for quite some time. Now, and again, as I mentioned, how quiet this weather pattern is, the Storm Prediction Center does not have any risk of severe weather across the continental United States, coast to coast and border to border. You don't see that very often for the entire United States. Day 2, no risk of severe storms. That light green is basically just a garden variety chance of a thunderstorm, but not a severe thunderstorm. Level 0 out of 5. Day 3, 0 out of 5. So, and Carol Payne loving this weather as well. I think our last names have the same origin. I think that Payne is like British Isles, and then mine is German, but I think they mean about the same thing. But I might be mistaken. But I think that's what I've read. All right, let's look at the future radar, and that's going to take us into the future temperatures as well. So I'm going to bring up the GFS because there is really nothing to show anytime soon. Let's go to Thursday. That is the 28th. See if we can find this front trying to move into the region. So this is kind of a reinforcing front, meaning it's just going to reinforce this dry air that we have across the area. But here it is Thursday evening. This is at 8 p.m. And notice it's hard to gather any moisture. It's just a dry air mass that we have. So there's not much with it. And it looks like it's going to stay mostly to the northeast of us. Any little rain chance, there's kind of a little blip southeast of Indianapolis. If you're hoping for rain, it's going to be a while. You got to be really patient. If you want to keep the yard green, I've given up on that. You have to do a lot of watering. This is going into our Friday afternoon, the 29th at 5 p.m. It's got a little rain chance off to the east there Friday afternoon, but not for us. I'm just really probably not buying that rain chance because of how dry the air is. And it was very small anyway, so I did not put that on the forecast. As we back up the view, I'll go into Saturday afternoon, the 30th. And we're looking dry. I'm going into our Sunday of Labor Day, the 31st, last day. Rain chance is getting closer, but just not confident enough to really put any rain chance on the 7-day forecast. And in fact, the GFS shows this with like the closest rain chance that we have, but the Euro and the Canadian are pretty much dry at the same time. So low confidence in that. Going into Monday, September 1st, still showing dry conditions. And then going into Tuesday, so we're looking at a week from now, September the 2nd, still dry. We're going now into September 3rd, which is next Wednesday, dry. When are we going to see some green on the screen? Going into September 4th, this would be next. Oh, there we go. Next Thursday. So the European weather model and the GFS weather model both are showing this potential. So we're getting far out there. So that means it is time for this. And that gives me a chance to take a sip. So maybe late next week, the model's giving us a chance of some rain. And certainly a lot of us will probably need that rain chance by then. And this is going into September 5th, which would be what, next Friday? So this is next Friday potential. So there you go. It's a needle in a haystack right now trying to find a rain chance, but late next week looks like our best shot as a front moves into the area. I wonder what that front would do. Would that just bring more cool air into the region, or would we start to shift into a hotter weather pattern behind that front as that moves through? If you're just popping on, we're looking at not this week, we're looking at late next week, the Ben on a Limb segment. So that's what we need to do now. We need to look at the air mass that we have overhead and see when we might have a change, when you might be able to anticipate the warmer air returning to the area. So one good way to do that, I want to look at the dew points now to give you some perspective, and then I want to look at the dew points in the future. So dew points to measure that water content in the air. Hotter air mass can hold more water. So hotter air, you're going to be muggier typically, unless you're in the desert, but we're not in the desert. So as we look at the broad view here, these dew points, we've had this Canadian air carve out all of that muggier air. And this, for all the folks along the Gulf and the Southeast, that isn't even that bad. Even Miami is a little drier than usual, lower 70s dew points. So how long will that fall air last? So what you're going to look at here as we look into the future is the red and the gray and the white. That is your autumn-like dry air. And then if you start to see the green and the blue, that means we're switching back into a summer weather pattern. So let's look at it together, as I really haven't perused the data very closely. So I'm going to bring back up the weather models. This is the dew point GFS weather model. So it's picking up very well on the air that we have on top of us right now. Let's jump to, like, there really isn't any change. We'll just stop every couple days. So August 29th, our Friday, there's really no change. It is not humid. Going to Saturday the 30th, dry air is still in place. All of this is comfortable air. Of course, you look over the ocean, you look down over the deep south, that is the tropical air down there. All right, I'm just going to jump ahead to Labor Day Monday. And I mean, you guys, this is a pocket of dry air that is not leaving us anytime soon. 50s dew points. It's just like the air that we have out there now, maybe a degree or two warmer in the afternoon. So even through here early next week, no change to the dew points. So let's jump ahead even farther. We'll go next Wednesday, the 3rd of September. Are we seeing any changes by then? A little bit, but it's still not bad. Remember that front that showed some rain next Thursday, Friday? Ahead of a front, you'll get a south breeze, and that'll start to drag up more moisture from the Gulf. So this still is not bad. Lower 60s is still pretty comfortable. It's still fairly dry through the middle of next week. But let's step this forward in time. We'll go to now it gets a little more humid ahead of that front. So this is the 4th of September. So next Thursday. So notice with that, if this happens next week, we gather a little more humidity ahead of the front, and then there's a lot of dry air behind that front. Look at that dry. That is as clear as, I mean, you can see between two different air masses. This is that continental dry air mass. This is the more tropical air mass, subtropical, and right in the middle there's the front. So this here would be, if this moves through, a reinforcing shot of some dry air late next week after that rain chance next Thursday, Friday. Some of this is hypothetical because we're talking more than a week out. We are on the bin on a limb segment right now. But let's look here past this to next Friday. That front is basically over the area with that rain chance, but notice that drier air punching in behind it to the Ohio River. And we'll go to Saturday, September the 6th. And look at that. If that happens, we are just back probably to fall-like air again. That is a huge arrival of dry air. Oh my gosh, that shows dew points well down to the 40s. If this can be reality, that not this weekend is going to be great, but the following weekend could be phenomenal after a much-needed rain chance as well. What about the temperature behind that front? This is 5 p.m., not this Saturday, next Saturday. It's looking a lot like the air that we have out there now. So we might be in a pattern where we start to get these reinforcing shots of fall-like conditions. Not good if you're wanting that pool to stay warm necessarily. But again, phenomenal weather overall. So why is this happening? You may ask. And again, feel free to ask away about any weather question. This is your show, as a reminder. I'm going to go to today because this will show the weather pattern change that we have happening now, which is, again, great weather. We've got this dive in the jet stream. So, actually, let me zoom out a little bit farther. Might show it even better. It's pretty impressive here. So out here, you've got this big ridge. So you've got hot weather in the Pacific Northwest and into Canada out west. But then the jet stream is taking this huge dive all the way down over the deep south and through the Ohio Valley. And what that has done is brought down this cooler Canadian Great Lakes style air. So that is the big change. And it looks like this regime, what we call it, this weather pattern, will continue overall with more of a northwest flow for us through the first week of September. Now, eventually, we might see this ridge out west start to build back in maybe the second week of September, and then we might start to gradually warm back up. So that is the overall, the upper deck of the atmosphere a lot of times will guide and open the door to these weather pattern changes. So as I mentioned, what was it, September 4th, when we have that next front that might give us a decent rain chance late next week. Check that out. Let me zoom in a little bit closer here. Another impressive trough in the jet stream. So that is what would bring some really nice air the following weekend as well. You don't see this that often necessarily. This is a huge amplification in the jet stream out west, and then a huge trough over the east. A lot of times in the fall and the winter, you'll get a big trough and you'll get some colder air dropping in, but certainly some rare air for our area for late August, early September, and all because of that huge trough in the jet stream right there. So that is some good stuff to see if you like this fall-like weather. So we'll see if this is something we'll watch day by day. If what we're going to really watch day by day as far as the long-range weather pattern, the Ben on the Limb segment, is are we going to get that rain chance late next week that we will need? And behind that rain chance, are we going to get another shot of Canadian air? So that sums up been on a limb, going out on a limb. Cheers to you if you're still hanging on through our deep dive of the weather pattern here, the Weather Nerd segment at 10:35 on your Tuesday morning. I just find it interesting that even though when the weather is nice, we have fun things to talk about, like the fall conditions that are possibly on the way for the long range weather pattern here for us. So good stuff there. Let me see if we go into even longer out, like the September 9th time frame. So let me bring that. So this, if you were just watching, we're talking about a dip in the jet stream, but check this out. So this is September 9th. This is where we would see a possible another weather pattern change. Back to more summer, like the jet stream goes up like this. So this would start to build in more heat, maybe around the second week of September. This is around September 8th, September 9th. So we might have a good couple weeks this week, next week on the cool side. Following week, second week of September, maybe we're into more summer-like conditions returning to the area. But we'll watch it, day by day and see if how it's all shaping up. And this shows around the September 8th timeframe that warmth building back into the central United States and getting closer to us. And then they begin to cool down where it's hot right now in the Pacific Northwest. There you go. We covered it all. I think we covered it all. We are going to get back to your forecast in detail here for southern Indiana and beyond. So I'm going to bring up those weather headlines and some of the comments that popped in while I was talking. Mary Dale saying, I love the out on a limb forecast. This one looks good. It really does. It's nice to see how long it's going to last. And great weather for tennis. Yeah, my son Brady's got a tennis match later today. Good weather for my brother Adam, who's got a birthday today on this August the 26th. And let me get rid of that. And we're going to bring up the weather headlines here for your August 26th today. Cool nights in the 50s, maybe some 40s, outlying areas. And Lillian, good luck at the eye doctor today. Hope everything is good and clear for you. Perfect afternoons in the 70s for a while here. Upper 70s, low 80s through the long range, and just a long dry pattern as we saw with the models as well. And the play ball forecast for today, I mean, it's hard to draw up anything much better than this. Lower 70s at noon, 77 this afternoon. And you notice when that sun angle starts to drop in the evening, it starts to get a little bit crisp out there. So maybe for some of those after-school events, you might think about a light jacket or sweatshirt, especially if we have just a little bit of a breeze out there as well. What are you going to try to plan or do to enjoy this amazing weather? I know Diana Peine, my stepmom, and my dad are in Madison, Indiana, along the river, enjoying that weather. And check out those low temperatures this morning with the Indiana mesonet in the 40s and low 50s, the Kentucky mesonet in the upper 40s. Our coolest morning, I think, since May. And the birds are starting to migrate. Your bird nerd segment back a little bit here. About 90 million birds estimated in flight overnight. You can see the direction arrows where they're traveling. So in the springtime, we talked a lot about it as they were traveling north. They're not as concentrated in the fall as we have. They just move in different stages, basically. So you've got some decide to move when it gets cooler. Some decide to move when the days get shorter and the food sources run out. Robert Fisher giving us this beautiful photo of the steam fog this morning over the ponds, the warm water evaporating into the cooler air, condensing and creating that little bit of fog there. Kind of cool to see. And I gave you these free stupid autumn jokes because of our autumn-like weather. And I'm going to run through them really quickly here. How did the tree get a new job? It had the right qualifications. What is the best book to read in autumn? Lord of the Rings. Why did the turkey cross the road? Because it was the chicken's day off. Why was the robot couple's anniversary in the fall? They were autumn mated. Boom, there you go. Here's today's weather history. Back in 1635, the great colonial hurricane in Long Island and Providence and Boston, maybe winds 130 miles per hour. Several ships were sunk back in the day. The greatest South Carolina flood, 1908. A tornado north of the Arctic Circle, 1976, and Hurricane Andrew making a second landfall in 1992. And before 8 p.m. sunsets in 8 days, autumn begins in less than a month. Average highs in the 70s, which we're enjoying now, in 29 days, and average highs normally in the 60s in 54 days. High levels of ragweed as we are in the ragweed pollen season now all the way through typically October when we get that first frost. Your forecast summary for today, high is 77, just a terrific Tuesday, mostly sunny, northwest wind at 5 to 15, and mostly clear and rather cool tonight. Crack open the windows, listen to the bugs out there. 54 degrees, some 40s possible outside the towns and cities, some of our typical valley cool spots. And your Wednesday is going to be a wonderful one. 54 out the door, 72 at noon, 78 for the afternoon high. Still trending about 10 degrees below our normal high of 88, normal low 68. And our sun up at 7:08, sunset at 8:19. The 7-day forecast rolls on with mainly dry conditions through our Labor Day weekend. Upper 70s, lower 80s, and our low temperatures here in the 50s and low 60s. Pretty good stuff here. And maybe just a little bit warmer as we head into early next week, around 83, 84. And if the long range data is correct, maybe we'll get a little muggier next Thursday, and maybe a front will give us a rain chance late in our next work week before maybe a reinforcing shot of some cool air next week. Looking live out there at All Sunshine here at the corner of Benson's and Market. Just incredible to get outside. I need to start jogging. I need to carve out that time to bring back that routine. There's a picture-in-picture view of the nice conditions along the Falls of the Ohio as well. Looking towards the city skyline, starting to see just a couple of those little cumulus clouds growing a little bit. Awesome stuff, guys. Hope you can get out and enjoy that. That is at the fallsoftheohio.org webcam right there. Lillian Lasley saying happy birthday to my brother Adam. Thank you very much. And we can be here because of our partners. Thank you so much to Lions Roofing for joining up with us for these months here. We've been doing our Ben at 10, protecting your most valuable asset for a lifetime. Free estimates there online. And also, they've got a careers section, 812-294-3595. Both sides of the river, they've got you covered. Roofing repair technician job opening there. So check that out. And also, someone who's got you covered, tell Michael Long here at AmFam, American Family Insurance, that I sent you. You can call 812-578-3072. You can email him here. There's his landing page at amfam.com. Just search Michael Long. And I want to mention all the opportunities that exist here in Southern Indiana. If you know someone that needs work, needs a career, well, here you go. Superintendent, project manager. There's more and more opportunities right here. And you can see the job descriptions, the benefits. You can apply for the job right there. You can level up your career here at Ivy Tech Community College, Sellersburg campus, 9 miles north of downtown, exit 9. They've got a really nice little campus right there. And you can learn more with Tuesdays at the Tech. Their fall sessions began yesterday. They've got 2 fall sessions. They've got, I would say, dozens, over 42 two-year programs. And then in high school, you can get these college credits that transfer to most of the universities around Indiana, and I'm sure elsewhere. But Tuesdays at the Tech is where you can get, you can register, you can RSV right there, and then get that one-on-one information from the very friendly administration and instructors out there for registering for classes, career development, paying for college, helping you navigate to your next level here, and really powering the workforce throughout Southern Indiana through high school dual credit, through Prosser, through all the partnerships and organizations across the area. And a reminder, too, tomorrow's Wednesdays with Weddington, with Brad Weddington. He is a local custom home builder, built most of the homes in my neighborhood, built my house 11 years ago. You see a lot of testimonials here. I wonder if my house is on there. You have my house on here? Oh, there it is. There's my review. He still got it up. Sweet. But yeah, if you have a question about custom home building, any questions around the home, drop it in the comments, and we will put Brad to the test tomorrow. Always fun to talk to Brad, but there you see a bunch of reviews. That is weddingtoncustomhomes.com. All right. That is going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday, this amazing weather day. And of course, the weather is going to get busier eventually. So what I want to remind you to do is if you head to extolmag.com/weather, there's our YouTube. We're up right now on YouTube. If you subscribe on our Extol media channel, we might have to go for hours at a time if we get severe weather or big time snow coverage or whatever it might be here in Southern Indiana and beyond. We've got you covered there at Extol Media on YouTube. Plus, there's a lot of other weather content there and various content from Extol Media. Interactive radar, current conditions, showing 64 right now, 7-day forecast, a lot of other weather tools there for you too. And again, thanks for liking or subscribing, whether it's on my page, Extol Weather on Facebook, and also on my page, Meteorologist Ben Peine, Peine. Sometimes I just talk too much. Thank you so much for wherever you're watching from. And I hope you can get outside and enjoy this amazing weather, this terrific Tuesday. We're going to talk more about good stuff. And again, what we'll focus on tomorrow, again, the Ben on a Limb segment, we're looking for weather pattern changes. Will we get that bigger rain chance late next week? Will it reinforce the autumn air for the following week? We'll try to answer those questions tomorrow morning. All right, you guys have a great one. Enjoy it out there, and we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.